from New York. It's the show that has Nick back and Brew gone. Here we go.
What is he doing?
I'm not 100%.
What is he doing? I don't even get it. Is sweeping?
Sweep, I think.
That's not even a thing in football.
I guess it is. It's a home away sweep.
Brew.
It's a sweeping bit.
You can talk.
Somebody got swept.
Oh.
Somebody got swept.
What is?
And I'm all about cleaning house, baby. Yep, somebody got swept.
You're sweeping in your robe?
Yeah.
I didn't catch the red eye for this. I'll tell you this much right now.
I mean, somebody got swept.
First hour of First Things First.
You know, is
there more
how
to
we
it?
do?
Can I run the animation?
Well, I want to know what we're sweeping.
What?
This trash.
Hold on. The show
Let's
has
see.
To start. Drew, the show has to start.
He's still going.
Oh, Joe Burrow's fledgling MVP hunt that Nick was promoting.
Wait,
I think there's something else.
Is part of
Something else.
Brew, I don't think Brew knows
The
this.
Bengals against winning teams.
Okay.
0-5.
Okay,
That's what I swept
This
up
is
in the
part-
trash.
This is part of the intro.
That's why I said
I'm not
the animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
But you have another bit for the show?
That's it.
We're starting with another Ravens win. Lamar, as Brew mentioned, moves to 6-1 head-to-head against Joe Burrow, throws 4 touchdowns, and Derrick Henry added 1. He scored a touchdown in every game this year, bro.
Yeah, Henry?
Just for the Ravens, not for on every team. As the Ravens survived the Bengals comeback 35-34. Ravens defense, not good. Brew, your reaction.
Well, first I had to get up all that stuff I was
of course.
sweeping. But my reaction is Lamar Jackson is not only having an MVP season, he's having a season for the ages. Like, if he keeps up this pace, this will be one of the greatest seasons individually in NFL history. And we'll show you the pace that he's on. All right, so he's on a pace to throw 41 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions.
Remarkable.
No one in the history of football in NFL has thrown 40 touchdowns with fewer than 5 interceptions.
Yep.
He's already obviously on pace to throw for more than 4,500 yards. No one has thrown for that many yards with fewer than 6 interceptions. Completion percentage is out of this world. Passer rating would be the best ever. Now, obviously, he may not keep this pace up, but this 10 games in, he's on this pace. Then you throw in 3 rushing touchdowns and nearly 1,000 yards rushing. Like, this would be incredible. So that's my first takeaway.
Yeah.
And quickly, and I know I'm not going to go too far in it because we're going to get into it in a moment, but it's exasperating rooting for the Ravens. It is exasperating, like exhausting.
Yeah.
Because whether it's, we'll get to the defense, whether it's the penalties, they had 11 last night, others that could have been called. They lead the league in penalties. Whether it's a missed field or extra point by your great kicker, whether it's
Kelsey,
he's had his trouble issues lately.
Officially.
But it's blown coverages, miscommunication, missed tackles, whatever it is. It's exasperating watching them. But Lamar has carried them, and he's having a phenomenal season.
Every single thing Brew just said about Lamar Judge is 100% true. I apologize. Aaron Jackson.
That doesn't work.
I'm sorry.
That does not.
Every single thing.
Because we in the regular season. We talk about the regular season. We'll get to the playoffs.
No, every single thing Brew just said about Lamar is true. He is in the midst of one of the greatest regular seasons ever. However, I must admit, maybe I was in a bit of a fog in our morning call.
Yeah.
Fresh off the plane. Is this the question we're starting the show with? Because I was certain, based on our show and every show precedent, we'd be starting with, did Baltimore get lucky? Is that only a thing we do for the Chiefs? When at the very end of a game there is shockingly a missed call that goes in a team's favor, or maybe multiple missed calls, or maybe actually a 2-point conversion at the goal line, face mask as clear as day. If we're not doing that, by the way, I'm good with it. I hope we stop doing that.
Have you accused the Chiefs of getting lucky?
No, well,
I don't think I've ever accused the Chiefs of getting lucky.
Online haters.
No. I'm sorry.
Twitter?
Again, maybe I'm in a fog. We haven't started multiple shows after a Chiefs win with did the Chiefs get lucky after a play like this? I didn't know. I just didn't know if we're only doing that for the one
research.
team.
No, it's a team
I
that
think
has
maybe
lots of one-win victories. We may have done that.
I don't think any of us. The only reason I even mentioned that is I hope America is starting to realize the NFL doesn't have a Chiefs officiating problem. It has every game that comes down to the final play, you're going to have an officiating problem. Because any of the last time we
feel you can get away
we
with
talked
stuff?
last Thursday night, we were talking about changing the rules about the exact face masks. But to answer the question,
that was beyond.
that was right. Here's why I don't think Lamar can keep saving the defense. Is Brew, all the stuff that killed you about their playoff loss to the Chiefs last year, aside from the Lamar performance, you saw yesterday. They committed on the final drive 4 15-yard penalties. 2 were called, 2 were missed, but they're not like questionable. Well, the one we just showed wouldn't have been 15 yards, been half the distance. And then a Joe Burrow one earlier. And then they also hit Joe Burrow late. They also had another face mask. Earlier in the game, after they had not taken control, but finally taken the lead by by a 7-point lead, Jamar Chase, one play, 70-yard touchdown. All the stuff.
Ran through like 5 races.
Yes. All the stuff that you have been concerned about. So we can put the Lamar Jackson playoff concerns in a box over here and just say that's not going to kill him. I have no reason to believe this Ravens defense is going to be anything other than what it has been through 10 games. Like, I don't have the graphic Brew has as far as on pace if it is for the rest of the season, but what we know is it's brutal for over the course of the year, and it's how it ended last year with the mental mistakes.
So this is what's going to happen, Brew.
I want to answer that question too. Can Lamar keep saving the defense? But go ahead.
Oh, okay. You go ahead.
Before that?
Well, I'm kind of going to switch it to just defense.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about this a lot last night watching that game. Obviously, just watching Cincinnati run up and down the field as the Ravens were doing the same thing. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is my answer. If there was not such a thing as the Kansas City Chiefs, I would be fine with the Ravens like this. Now, they wouldn't be guaranteed to beat everybody.
Really?
Yes. Now, again, I'm not saying they'd be guaranteed to beat anybody else, but every other elite team in the league has a big flaw. The only one you might say is Detroit, but their defense has given up a lot of points too.
Flaw?
Buffalo's just good. They're not great at anything.
But what's their big flaw?
Their flaw is that they're not great at it. They got a dynamic quarterback, and that's it. The defense is pretty good. It's 17th in total defense. The offense is pretty good. You just got this Superman at quarterback. So they're not unbeatable. Obviously, the Ravens just trounced them. The Bengals have the same problem as the Ravens. No defense. Washington's defense is getting better, but it's not great, and they're young. Houston's young and struggling and a bit banged up, and their offensive line is terrible. Like, I could go down. San Francisco, we know, has some injury issues. Their defense isn't what it used to be. Philadelphia, the coaching is a question mark. Jalen Hurts can be a question mark. Like every team, I could see the Ravens outscoring.
No.
But Kansas City, they're not going to beat Kansas City this way.
Right.
That defense, they got no choice, Nick. If they're serious, and I'm putting a lot of this on John Harbaugh. I really am, because the penalties, I've always looked at that as a coaching thing.
I know.
Get them to stop making penalties.
All right, so here's the brutal truth here. Super Bowl, my take is Lamar is going to be sunk this season by the defense, which is both schematic and maybe skill. Super Bowl champ since the merger. Scoring defense above the bottom 10. So you don't have to be great. You just have to be, the 11th worst. 52 Super Bowl champions. Scoring defense in the bottom 10, only 2. Yep. The Ravens are currently the 9th worst scoring defense in the league. This is what's going to happen. And the reason why Lamar's season is going to be sunk, and Nick is going to be like, see, Lamar can't get it done.
But I think if he plays well, right? Is that fair?
No, but I would say this. Tom Brady is the ultimate winner. Tom Brady in the NFC Championship game against the Packers threw 3 interceptions and got bailed out by the defense. Patrick Mahomes, you can say how great he is, but you've said multiple times that Chiefs defense last year was fantastic, and they beat Lamar 17-10 with a punch out on the goal line. Lamar, as great as this year is, cannot afford to have any little hiccup.
No, hold on.
And it's going to fall apart, and it's going to be his fault.
Okay, wait a second.
It's going to be the defense fault, not Lamar's fault.
Hold on. See, you invoked my name there, so debate rules.
No, but
but you still invoked because that's not been Lamar has not lost playoff shootouts.
I'm saying he is going to this year.
And so I am telling you right now, if Lamar were to lose a playoff game the way Joe Burrow lost yesterday's game, I will not get on TV and say Lamar did not come through.
What if he has an okay game?
Well, listen, if at this point, if they lose a playoff game and it's not their single lowest scoring offensive game of the year, it'll be the best playoff loss of his career.
But if Lamar loses 25 to 30, we'd be like, he can't get it done.
No, Wild, I'm telling you, you're speaking something into existence we have no evidence of. He has lost the most points they've scored in a playoff game.
But hold on, let me hang into
hold on.
that.
Can I?
Well, he was great against Houston last year.
No, I was kidding. Let me say what I think, but rather than people guess it. The most points they have scored in a playoff loss since Lamar was drafted is 17 points. Once in his first playoff game ever, once in Tyler Huntley's playoff game. They have never won a playoff game where they have allowed more than 13 points. So don't predict that if he loses 28-24, I'm going to kill him. Every single one of their playoff losses, he has been terrible.
So if he loses 28-24, you're like, wow. Lamar Jackson, great job.
I don't. Wild.
No chance.
Okay.
No chance.
So
you have your knives sharpened for Lamar. You do.
Oh my. Okay.
You do. You have. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying you collectively. The media has their knives sharpened
Can I ask you a question?
for a Lamar playoff failure, and he's going to come in mediocre in the playoffs if he does, because John Harbaugh's defense cannot get it done.
Okay.
That's what is going to happen unless something changes.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How should the media, since you think I, as a vessel for it, have my knife sharpened, how should the media, in fairness, treat Lamar's playoff resume?
That's a fair question, as it is.
Okay.
You should treat it as it is, but with the caveat, give him credit for the buys.
That's fine.
That's the only issue.
So I would ask respectfully to not assume that I or others are going to do something that up to this point we have not done. No one has found the great Lamar playoff game that they lost and said, he can't get it done. What has happened is, in his 4 playoff losses, they have lost and he's been terrible. It's been their worst offensive game of the year, his worst game of the year, and they've lost.
Okay,
if that changes, that's fine.
Patrick Mahomes scored 17 points and won.
Yes, Wild.
So Lamar, that's not. All I'm saying is that is not on the board for Lamar. And if he scores 17 points and loses 17-21, people are going to kill him. When Patrick Mahomes rode this defense, complimentary football, into the Super Bowl.
I think what Lamar, look, if he has a great game and they lose, to your point, 30-28 or something like that,
fine.
I don't think Nick will kill him if he has a really good game. Is that fair?
Of course.
Now he has another path. If he wins, in my view, 17-14, like Mahomes has won some of these, or last year, and he doesn't play great, but they win, I think that's fine too.
Yes. What I am saying is this defense cannot have a 17-point win.
Okay, that's fair to say, but he does have to play well.
I don't want to be.
He's a veteran enough, and he is, again, having one of the best regular seasons we've ever seen. He will be the first quarterback to ever have 3 MVPs and not a Super Bowl. He is setting a standard, like we've been talking about Mahomes this season. We've been on him. Like, he's not playing well because of his standard. Lamar is setting a standard now this season where it's like in the playoffs, you don't have to be what you did last night every game, but in the playoffs, you got to be able, you can't be the reason you lose. You can't be close to the reason you lose.
I'm shocked this conversation went this direction, but I'm fine with it. First of all, the idea that it is a fait accompli that this Ravens team couldn't have a great playoff game. The 2 teams on your list that won the Super Bowl, the 06 Colts, thanks to Bob Sanders, was the Defensive Player of the Year. They won that Super Bowl on the playoff run because the defense tightened up. The 2011 Giants shut down one of the greatest offenses ever because of a defensive that tightened up.
I'm saying tighten up. I'm saying as is.
This idea that what it appears to me that I see happening, and it's kind of weird because we both might have gotten to a similar place of where we think this season's going to end, but for different reasons. I think the media collectively is setting Lamar up to fail because I see Mike Florio called him Neo in the Matrix. Solak said he's the MVP forever. A lot of the smart tastemakers in the NFL are saying he's playing the quarterback position perfectly. And I think a lot of us see a scenario where the playoff game starts, the defense isn't great, it's a drop-back passing game shootout, and the same old Lamar struggles happen, and it's not a Derrick Henry game. I think that worries Brew, and
I would just argue that I don't think the media said. Now, are some people maybe going overboard? Okay, but I don't think they're setting him up for failure. I think they're calling it like they see it. This dude is playing phenomenal football, and if he gets to the playoffs, I disagree with you on the Harden, Aaron Judge, James Harden, all that stuff, because I think up until this season, Lamar Jackson is passing the football now at a level he has never done. And it's not just statistically. Like, we can all watch it, the eye test.
Sure.
He has never been a great passer. He's been a good passer, sometimes very good, never great. But now he's playing like a great passer. My thing is, in the playoffs, if you can't really throw at elite level, it can come back to bite you, and that's what's happened to him. This year, he's throwing it at an elite level. So if all of a sudden in the playoffs you don't throw it at that level, that's when I think I'll say, okay, are you choking? Because I think Harden has choked. I think Embiid has some of that in him. I think Judge has choked. I don't think Lamar's choked. I think Lamar had a flaw in his game, but now he's eliminated that flaw, and let's see what he does this year.
But there is no Jamar Chase in these two games against the Ravens. It's 431 yards receiving. It's the most for a player against one opponent since 1963. It's from Joshua Dubois at the AP. You know, like, you got torched by Jamar Chase, and I know he's a great player.
I'm with you.
They've got one option that they're going to. And they're like, can we just lose in a different way? Nope. Jamar.
Double team, even that
just do
broadcast was calling for the
but I mean, that's
and for
what
Cincinnati not to go to Jamar, I don't mean on that play because he wasn't really open at the.
Well,
but for them not to call a play for Jamar on that 2-point conversion.
But by the way, that's how Jamar, when the Bengals years ago used to beat the Chiefs, it was Jamar torched him. He had the 220 yards. He had the one big playoff game. Like, great players sometimes. Teams go into Ravens games saying, we're not going to let Derrick Henry beat us, and he hits you for 180.
I know, but it's since 1963. I wouldn't say if it's just like a big game.
That's a fair point. It's historic. And Burrow's production Burrow's just the third quarterback ever in a season to have 800 yards and 8 passing touchdowns against one opponent in a season. Marino did it, and one other guy did it. I forget who it was. Montana, I think. Marino, Montana, and Burrow. And Burrow's the only one with 9 touchdowns. I am, and I love you, but I am truly bothered by the idea that I'm unfair to Lamar. Calling him Lamar Judge or Aaron Jackson is a turn of phrase poking fun at something that I think is a one-to-one comp. Historically, legendarily great multiple-time MVPs who every single postseason of their career have played their worst of the year in that moment. And Brew has an explanation that to me doesn't really fit last year. Because last year, the numbers weren't as good, but I was hearing all last year, and you were too, about Lamar being such a better passer. They got rid of Greg Roman, they changed the offense, they put it in his hands, and then and 6 days.
24 touchdowns.
I said the numbers weren't there, but it's what the narrative was. And 6 days before the Chiefs playoff game, it was, he did it. He threw the ball against Houston, he did it, and so I don't think it's unfair. I actually think that there is a very weird protectionism of Lamar from folks. That people think treating him the way we've treated every legend. Peyton Manning got annihilated, even though he had multiple. He had a perfect passer rating in a playoff game early in his career, and he was still a playoff choker. This is how we've always done it. He's en route to becoming one of a handful of 3-time MVPs. It is a fair skepticism. Now, it is also fair to say None of that changes that last night he let it come back. Brew's right. If he keeps this up, it's one of the greatest playoff seasons ever. But your point about Mahomes winning a Super Bowl on the back of his defense, I think we'd look at it differently. If the previous Super Bowl he hadn't won 38-35.
I buy that.
I think that you build up equity.
I am.
You're prematurely assuming.
I have frustration in my playoff cart. I haven't checked out yet, but I can already see what is going to happen. That this defense is just going to be porous. Somebody's going to go into Baltimore, and Lamar's going to have to score 33 to win, and he won't. He'll score 21, and that interception that he almost threw gets caught, and it's like this guy can't get it done.
Let me ask you this: what will Lamar do in the playoffs that will disappoint you? Like in his performance,
certainly if he plays terrible.
Are you just giving him a pass?
If he plays terrible, if anybody plays terrible, they play terrible. It's the problem is Tom Brady could throw 3 interceptions against the Packers, have the Bucs defense be amazing, and be like,
it's almost
greatest player of all time.
You know what, Brew? It almost sounds like you're stumbling into quarterback wins might not be the only thing.
No, they are 100% the thing.